There are Christians here tonight and Muslims. There are agnostics. There are atheists. There are nationalists and Pan-Africanists. There are socialists and communists. There are black and brown and red and yellow and white, all here to hear what we have to say. Farrakhan has become a very controversial figure. But to be controversial is not a bad thing. In fact, because of the controversy swirling around Louis Farrakhan, I want the black leadership to know and black people to know I feel very privileged to be so controversial, because I am walking in good shoes. Jesus appeared in the Roman Empire and his message was controversial. Moses appeared in Egypt and his message was controversial. Whenever a man speaks against the popular version of the truth, then he's considered controversial. That I am. If Jesus said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free," and you are not yet free, then somebody has lied to you in the name of truth. If God is love and you hate yourself and are hated by the world, then someone has deceived you in the name of God. And I'm here tonight to lay the truth bare. And then, black leaders, if you will repudiate me, then repudiate me as a liar. But if I speak the truth tonight, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. I am not a politician. I seek no political office. Therefore, I don't care for a friend if that friend is not a friend of truth. And I don't care for a friend if that friend is not a friend of the helpless, hopeless masses of the suffering people of America. Remember this now. If Louis Farrakhan is a hater, then condemn me. If I am a bigot, I deserve to be condemned. If I am a racist, then stand up and condemn me. But if what I say is truth, and that's all I will deal with tonight, and that's all I ever deal with, then you can say you don't like the truth of what I say, but you cannot say that what I say is a lie. I will stake my life on what I say. Will you stake your life on what you say? I have no weapons. I don't advocate such. But I'm not wanted in Los Angeles. I don't smoke and I don't drink. I don't use cocaine. I don't smoke reefer. I don't use drugs. I don't chase women and I don't chase men, but I'm not wanted in Los Angeles. Almighty God, and to Him alone do I submit and seek refuge and give and offer my life. I bow down to no man. I don't think no man is my master, only God. But I'm not wanted in Los Angeles. I'm not welcome here. But how dare you speak so arrogantly? You are not Los Angeles. These are Angelinos, and evidently they want me here. In fact, it was not Gaddafi's money that paid for this auditorium. It was the Muslims here and the Friends of Economic Unity that raised the money to put this on. So I think I'm very welcome in Los Angeles, more so than you would like. And now let's get down to the business. Oh, before I start, let me say, please, there is no need for anyone to attempt to temper my message. Please, I want you all to understand Louis Farrakhan. Maybe you don't know me yet. But if I do not fear your master's repudiation, there is nothing that any black leader can say or do that frightens me. Hear me well. Hear me well. Your master has no power. I am proving that to you tonight. Your master is powerless. He cannot defeat Farrakhan, and he cannot defeat you. If you stand up like a man, stand up like a woman, you are free people. But if you allow yourself to be choked with fear, then you are unworthy to be saved. And you should be condemned even to death. For the Bible teaches you that the fearful and the unbelieving shall have their part in the lake of fire. I did not come here to Los Angeles to attack Jews or to attack anyone. I came to tell the truth wherever it falls. But why are you so excited? Black men have been coming in and out of Los Angeles for years. Never has a black man been treated like Louis Farrakhan. You, Los Angeles, should ask yourself the question, why are they upset? Why did this segment of the community go to black leaders with an already prepared statement telling you to sign it or else? What is the or else? If you don't have any courage, stand back. I'll take them on by myself with the help of Almighty God. It pleases Almighty God that the children of slaves should rise up with power today. I am a proof, black brother and sister, that your enemies don't have power to stop you if you're man and woman enough to stand up. Look at the crowd tonight. They were doing everything to keep you from me, keep you from the forum, and you came out regardless to what they said because you want to hear for yourself. I just want to say it very humbly. The power is with me today. You can take it or let it alone. The power is with me today. The God of heaven and earth is with me in what I'm doing. And if all of you join against me, I will yet prevail, because the scripture tells you, if God be for you, who can be against you? Oh, that arrogant man. He says the power is with him. Then attack me and see what happens. You'll see. Just attack me and see what happens. You're a loser today. All of you that side with falsehood and side with the oppressor against the oppressed, you are losers today. And your losses will be multiplied from this day onward. You must make a stand on the side of right and on the side of your people for right. You can't dilly-dally. You can't be in the middle. You can't serve on the verge. You can't talk out of both sides of your mouth. No, 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 no. No man can serve two masters. He's going to love one or hate the other, but he can't walk with his hand in God's hand and his hand in Satan's hand at the same time. That's why you don't have power. It's because you're divided against yourself. You know, I want you to settle. I'm going to settle down. You know, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, my teacher, taught me a very profound English lesson that I would like to share with you this afternoon. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught me that, of course, in order to speak grammatically correct, you must have verb and subject agreement. He said, if you don't speak correctly, you will not be successful. This is to tell us that the conveying of ideas is relative to time in its success. No matter what you preach, even truth, if it is out of time, it will not be successful. When you have verb and subject agreement, you speak grammatically correct. If I said to you tonight, I didn't came here tonight to talk to you on religion, I come here to talk to you on economics. You understand me, but I don't have verb and subject agreement. It stops your mind, and you that know English say, I wish he would say that grammatically more correct. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was not talking just about verb and subject agreement. He was talking about a truth much more profound. He was saying, if you live in the present, your actions should correspond to the present time. If you live in the present and your actions belong to the past, then you are not speaking grammatically correct, therefore you cannot be successful as a people. What are we saying? If you are in the present and you are supposed to be free, but you are acting out of your slave past, then you will not be successful. The problem today with black leaders and black people is that we are living in the present, but our actions belong to the slave era. Therefore, we are not communicating properly to ourselves or to others. Any man that will serve you, brothers and sisters, must bring your actions up to time. You are not a slave people. Therefore, you should take responsibility as a free people and start acting like free men and women, thinking like free men and women, walking like free men and women, planning like free men and women, and absolutely negotiating with others like you are free men and women. But if you go to others with your hat in your hand, scratching where you don't itch, bending and bowing, scraping and shuffling, and want to be respected, you cannot get that respect. You are out of time. Now, beloved, I have a problem with Jewish people, and it is not because I'm hateful of Jewish people, not at all. But I have a problem because I am declaring to the world that they are not the chosen people of God. Listen. I am declaring to the world that you, the black people of America and the Western Hemisphere, are the lost, the rejected, the despised, the prodigal son, the lost sheep, the God's people. You are the people of God. Now, this is not a problem of anti-Semitism. This is a problem of theological viewpoint. Now, I will argue with any Jewish scholar, come on out of hiding. Don't stand behind the Negroes that you taught in theological cemetery school. No. You come out yourself and bring your arguments with you. You know that you cannot defend yourself, not with truth. I got the books on you. So, the best thing you can do is tell the people, I'm a hater, I'm a bigot, I'm an anti-Semite. Now, you all listen to me tonight for the next few minutes, and you judge me for yourself. Here's what I'm saying. I am saying, dear Christians, that black people didn't accidentally come into America. It was by divine fulfillment of prophecy that we are here. I am saying from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that our slavery and suffering in America was not because God hated us. I am saying this was to fulfill a divine purpose that is bigger than our suffering. Hear me now. In the book of Genesis, the 15th chapter, the 13th, 14th, and 15th verses, God says to Abraham, know of a surety, Abraham, your seed will be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. And they shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. But after that time, I will come, and I will judge that nation which they shall serve, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. Now, I didn't write the book. I just read it. Now, I only challenged the Jewish scholars. That's all. It's an intellectual thing. It's not violence. I just challenged the Jewish scholars. Show me the history of your suffering in Egypt for 400 years. I know you can't show it to me. That's all I'm saying. It's not violence. It's not anti-Semitism. It's a theological argument. That picture of Moses and the children of Israel in bondage under a wicked king named Pharaoh, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, and I believe it with all my heart, that it is a prophetic, symbolic picture of a people who in the last days of the world would be brought out of their native land and people into a strange land to suffer and be afflicted for 400 years. Now the Jews say that is themselves biblically, and we know historically that John Hawkins, an English slave trader, brought our fathers into America in the year 1555 on a ship named Jesus. Now, the Congressional Library in Washington bears witness that our first fathers that came to America, they were not animists. They were not people of strange religion. They believed in one God. Many of them were Muslims. They said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. And the wise slave masters and slave makers in America, knowing that Islam brings out the militant propensities of the black man, they did not want Islam among the slaves. So any Muslim was separated from other religious believers and they were killed. This is history, and it is true. From 1555 to 1955 is how many years? 400 years. Let me ask you, are we in a strange land among strange people? Have we been afflicted in this strange land every day, every week, every hour, every year of our being here? Can you imagine the governor calling me a bigot? Mr. Duke Major. I hope you are not as ill-informed about state matters as you are about me. I think we need a change of governors. Maybe we would do better with Mr. Bradley. Just be strong, Mr. Bradley. Just be strong. The governorship is not salvation. And don't sell your soul for nothing that white folk offer you that compromises your dignity as a man. Let me say this to all of you. Now. This is your Bible I'm talking out of now. Remember Jesus when they took him up on the mountain and showed him the cities and said, bow down to me. And I will give you all of that. Jesus was strong, wasn't he? What did he say? Get thee behind me, Satan. Let me say this, beloved. You can't offer me Los Angeles. You can't offer me California. You can't offer me any states to make me compromise what I am. Because if I stay with God, I'm going to get it all anyway. You know, a black man will never be free until he wants liberty more than anything else. More than money, more than power, more than fame. When he says, I want to be free, give me liberty or give me death, we'll be free overnight, black brother. 400 years. Now it's 1985. And according to the book of Exodus, it was in the 430th year of the sojourn of the children of Israel that they went out from Egypt. From 1555 to 1985 is how many years? 430 years. 430 years. Do you know what that means? That means it's time. It's time for black people to make their exodus. Listen to me good, black brother and sister. What do you mean, Farrakhan, make an exodus? Are you saying we should get out of America and go back to Africa? The word exodus means a mass departure, a starting point, a point of embarkation. You can't get out except there's a way out. So Jesus said, I am the way. I am the truth. I am the light. I am the door. What was he talking about? He was talking about a way out of a terrible situation and a way into a better situation. A mass exodus. Now look, do you know why you are all sitting here tonight with all this propaganda? Look, brothers and sisters, and look, press. Listen, let me just tell you something. No. This is not disrespectful of the press. But look, press. I mean, the stuff that you have laid on Farrakhan, I mean, would have frightened anybody, run them out of town, made them afraid to show their face, right? I want you to look at Brother Farrakhan real good. See how good I look? Look. I'm 52 years old, soon be 53, with 9 children and 15 grandchildren. And I didn't get this way by hating. I didn't get this way from bigotry. I got this way from living in harmony with the will of God and with his creation. Now I'm going to ask you, can't you see that with all you put on me and the people are here, that your stuff don't work no more? Well, now look, if your stuff does not work anymore on the minds of the masses of black people, then that means that the exodus has already begun. Now hold it. Let me say this to all black politicians and black leaders. You would make a grave mistake to side with those who have lost power over the masses. If you side with the masses, you through. I mean, if you side with the enemy, you're through. If you stand with the masses, you got a future.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his servant and messenger. I greet you, my beloved brothers and sisters, in the greeting words of peace. We say it in the ancient tongue of Arabic, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another episode of the Imagination Show. My name is Brother Leo Muhammad, and sitting alongside me is my beloved wife and best friend, Sister Claudia Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I greet you all in the greeting words of peace, of Assalamu alaikum, and thank you once again for your time of tuning in. We know how valuable time is, and we really appreciate you joining in. And I pray that you are all safe and well, enjoying the countless blessings from Almighty God, Allah.
Praise be to Allah. Welcome, family. Thank you for tuning in. Also, please don't forget to let us know where you are tuning in from today. We always like to hear your location. Also, don't forget to let a family member, a loved one, a friend know that the Imagination Show is live and direct. Approximately 6:30 right now on a Thursday afternoon. We go out each and every week at the same time, inshallah. And, dear family, I'm not sure how many are on right now, but we want you to subscribe, okay? We want you to hit that like button and also to share what we attempt to share with you. So, dear family, the weather is wonderful. Again, this week we are not in our usual place, so we apologize if there are any glitches or any problems, and we hope that you are receiving us loud and clear. And also, just to let you know that we may be a little bit short this evening. We're not going to go very, very long, but we're going to try to be as strong as we possibly can dealing with our subject matter this evening. So please, let us know how you're doing. Let us know, how you're feeling. And again, if you have questions or comments, by all means, put them in the chat, dear beloved family. Okay. Let's have a look at where we are. And let's get started this evening. Brothers and sisters.
Nearly halfway through the month.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing just how quickly the time is going.
Absolutely.
So, welcome to episode 138 of the Imagination Show. Today is Thursday, July the 11th, 2024. And we were requested, I haven't seen whether or not the sister is on today, but we did get a request a couple of weeks ago for a breakdown of the Planet of the Apes. And so this evening, that's what we're going to do. We're not going to go exhaustively into it. We're not going to necessarily do a comprehensive, but we will try to give you what we call the true meaning of the Planet of the Apes. Just to say, dear family, there is something that we should understand about movies. And that is that movies are multi-layered. And many people go to the cinema or, you watch Netflix or whatever, and people see things on a very surface level. Some other people, when they watch movies, they look a little bit deeper. And believe me, you'd be surprised at the different levels or the different layers of information that are put into movies. And it's no wonder that they are so expensive to make. And it's no wonder that they have these premieres where the stars come out and the, celebrities and the royalty and, all of these people come out to pay tribute to the launching of this latest movie. You may have heard me say this before. I'm going to say it again. It's not necessarily called a movie because the pictures move. It's called a movie because it moves the masses. You'd be surprised how many people back in the 20s and the 30s learned to drink alcohol in bars and clubs through watching Humphrey Bogart and those types of movies. You'd be surprised how many men and women, in particular women, who learned the habit of smoking by watching their favorite stars on the big screen, puffing away on that cigarette or that cigar or that pipe or whatever it was. And these are tremendous advertisements for a particular way of life that those who are involved in the so-called silver screen, those who are involved in making these movies, are very, very intelligent, highly intelligent people who know how to shape society and move the masses through what they show on film. And oftentimes, so much of what's shown in the movies is hidden truth. Things that are, you might say, there are films that are made and they are fact based in fiction. So you have a fact-based thing and then they'll fictionalize certain parts of it. But sometimes they will make a fictional thing, but what you don't appreciate is that it's actually based in fact.
That's right.
You see, they'll make you think that it's purely fictional, but in reality, it's based on certain factual realities that they are putting messages in to feed the highly sophisticated and intelligent who pick up on those messages, be they subliminal or directly on the screen, but they're done in such a way that the ordinary hunter, to use that terminology, the ordinary viewer doesn't pick up on the subtlety and that which is hidden. The other thing I want to just say quickly about movies is, again, it's something I've said before, I'll say it again because it's an actual fact, that the subconscious mind cannot distinguish between fantasy and reality. And so often when we walk into the cinema, we know that that's Denzel Washington or Halle Berry or whoever the actor or actress is. We know them. We know that that's that person playing that role. We know that there is a camera. We know that there's a cameraman. We know that there is a director. We know that there's a sound man with a boom mic or whatever. We know how that thing is being done, but believe it or not, within a few minutes, within 8 minutes and 20 seconds, in fact, we get into the plot. Our subconscious mind begins to see what we are witnessing on the screen as real. And your subconscious mind cannot distinguish between what is fantasy and what is reality. And so that's why you will find yourself in the cinema oftentimes becoming moved and emotional based on what you are observing, because your subconscious sees it all as real. Understand how powerful these movies are, dear beloved family. So tonight, we want to take a brief look at the true meaning of the Planet of the Apes. I hope you are all good, dear family, and that you will bear with us as we go through this brief breakdown. Now, according to Wikipedia, Planet of the Apes is a 1968 American science fiction film directed by Franklin J. Schaffner from a screenplay by Michael Wilson and Rod Serling, loosely based on the 1963 novel by Pierre Boulet. The film stars Charlton Heston, Roddy McDowell, Kim Hunter, Maurice Evans, James Whitmore, James Daly, and Linda Harrison. I don't know how many of you saw this one, this original Planet of the Apes. That's the one that we're going to be taking a look at this evening. It says on the poster of the movie, somewhere in the universe there must be something better than man. Well, I can tell you straight away that that tagline is really talking about God. Somewhere in the universe there must be something better than man. But you see, it's tricky the way in which they're trying to give you, again, it's an impression that man and God are two separate and distinct realities. No, man is God and God is man. Let me just say it again for those of you who didn't hear what I said. Man is God and God is man. But you see, dear family, have you ever heard the term fallen man? Mm-hmm. When you're looking at Brother Leo Muhammad this evening, you are looking at fallen man. Your average man today is a fallen man. We are so far removed from the God nature of ourselves that we are literally almost unrecognizable when you think about God is man and man is God. And I say to you straight up, without any apology, you see, I hope you were watching and listening to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan a few minutes ago, because I'm telling you, family, that's the closest thing to God. That's right. Walking on our planet today as a black man. Understand this. I know some of you don't like him because, he's so forthright, he's so bold, he's unafraid. The man is so powerful, so courageous. Yeah, those of you, I know you've never met the minister. I've had the privilege of meeting the minister, and he's the humblest human being I've ever met in my entire life. So how can you have those two characteristics going on? Power yet humble. Dear family, I gotta say, man, I really hope that you were listening to what the minister was sharing a few minutes ago, because there's a reason why every time myself and Sister Claudia get an opportunity to do one of these shows, that you hear us talking about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because if it wasn't for that man, we wouldn't even have anything to say.
Well, we wouldn't be here.
That's the basis. That's the man who is our leader and teacher and guide today. And so, dear family, this man is so absolutely beautiful and special, to the Black community, to humanity as a whole. And they're going to come to know, and they're going to come to find out. You just imagine, that was the minister in 1985, and he remains here today with us. And so many of us yet don't know anything about that man and don't appreciate that man is raised by God for our salvation. Dear family, underneath that legend, it says, in a matter of time, an astronaut will wing through the centuries and find the answer he may, and the most terrifying one of all on the planet, where apes are the rulers and man the beast. Over here it says, an unusual and important motion picture from the author of The Bridge on the River Kwai, Charlton Heston, Planet of the Apes. I hope you're with us. I hope you're following, dear brothers and sisters, because we are dealing this evening with hidden truth. Now, the original 1968 Planet of the Apes, which is the one we're talking about this evening, that movie has an interesting storyline related to a hidden truth. 3 men have traveled through space. There was also a female traveler, but she died on the ship. Those of you who remember the movie. So there was 4 travelers altogether. One was a woman, but she literally was in the decompression chamber. And when they woke up and looked at her one, she had shriveled up because they'd been traveling apparently for thousands of years in this spaceship. Now, according to the story, this is what we just briefly relaying this story here. After thousands of years have passed, they crash land on a mysterious planet They walk and eventually they come to a forest or jungle-like location and see what appears to be humans picking food and dressed in primitive clothing. The primitives hear a sound and begin frantically running away. The travelers suddenly see horses running through the fields, but instead of people riding the horses, there are apes riding the horses, firing guns and capturing the primitives in nets. The three men also run, but two are killed and eventually lobotomized. While Taylor, the lead man in the shot, this is the character played by Charlton Heston, the lead is shot in the neck, captured, and loses the ability to speak. Now, just go back a little bit to that lobotomization. This is something that unfolds later on in the movie. And it's very interesting because, you see, family, you know, as African people, as original people, our history is so vast. It's so powerful what we have done historically as a people in terms of everything that you see today that these people have, be it the Greeks or the Romans or, come right down to the Americans today, this modern system that exists today, they got it all from us as the originators of technology, as the originators of every thought process that today people see made manifest in terms of innovation and technology and all the rest of it. And we think that so much of it is brand spanking new, when in reality, man, we were doing things so long ago and so many hundreds of millions of years ago that you would not even really begin to believe and be able to fathom the absolute depth and the profundity of what we as a people have done historically. And one of the things that our enemy did when they came, the minister mentioned to you that John Hawkins came in the year 1555 and began taking Black people, taking Africans out of Africa in chains on a ship named Jesus. Well, one of the processes that was employed was, once they got us across that middle passage, and by the way, we died like flies in the holds of those ships. But once they got us to the so-called New World, into America, into the Caribbean, they still had to make us into slaves. And a part of that process, dear brothers and sisters, was this breeding of the Black woman by the Black man, and oftentimes the white man as well went into the Black woman via force and bred mixed children. And what then took place is that once those women had children en masse, that first generation of children, when they were born, the parents were murdered, the parents were killed, the mother was dispatched, the father was dispatched. Why did they do that? They did that so that those children, brand new into this world, could not be taught their mother tongue. That's what mothers do. They teach the children. They're the first nurses. They're the first teachers of the children. So the children were deprived of their mother tongue. They killed the father. Why? Because the children had to be deprived of the father's name, their heritage, where they're coming from, all of this information, their roots. That's why that program that was made, that book that was written, the title was critically important when it was called Roots, because it was going back in order to find our origin and where we were coming from as a people. And so when they did that, when they killed the mother and the father, what it meant was that now you've got a baby who hasn't got any bearing in the world, hasn't got parents, hasn't got that steward of its life force to educate that child and to teach that child. And what the slave master then turned around and did was he said to that child, you are nothing. You're nobody. You contributed nothing to history. We came to Africa and we found you with a bone in your nose swinging through the trees. This was the indoctrination now that was given. Well, dear family, that indoctrination is the equivalent of what you would call a lobotomy, where you remove the cognizance, to remove the brain, you destroy the brain cells of the new life, so that that new life now is being conditioned to have no idea of a knowledge of self, to have no idea of a knowledge of their history and culture or anything, not even language, certainly not God. Because as the minister said in the video that you were watching earlier, they didn't want no Muslims. They didn't want no strong belief system among those that they were making into slaves. I hope you're following, because this is so important, dear beloved brothers and sisters. And Planet of the Apes was really showing you what went on and how it was done, but using these images, which, you know, again, for those of us who are just surface dwellers, you know, we're just being entertained by some apes riding horses, shooting guns, and chasing what appears to be primitive human beings. Don't forget, brothers and sisters, we want to hear from you. If you have anything that you would like to contribute in terms of how you are receiving what it is that we are sharing with you this evening. Now, family, in this clip, we don't actually see Taylor, again, the character played by Charlton Heston, we don't see him getting shot in the neck, but the incident of his shooting and losing his speech is symbolic of what happens whenever any potential strong Black leadership emerges that possesses the vision and the strength to inspire and move the masses to rise up and take charge of our own destiny. And the enemy always moves to neutralize their influence. This is really important that we understand this. It's towards the end of the clip. We don't actually get to see it, but towards the end of the clip, he actually gets shot. And he gets shot in the neck, and apparently the shot damages his vocal cords and he loses the ability to speak. But what the scene represents is what I've just relayed to you, which is whenever any leader comes, potential leader, the enemy has to neutralize the message or the methodology of that leader in order that those people who they've kept in a primitive condition will not be able to elevate themselves from that condition and put themselves in a position where they can challenge those who have put them in such condition. Let's just see the scene. So just to be clear, before we continue, understand this. Every time you see Charlton Heston, he represents the Black man. He represents Black people. This is not an individual, but this is a people. Every time you see these primitive looking people, they represent Black people. Every time you see the apes, be they chimpanzees or orangutans, they represent Caucasians. They represent white people, and the way in which they have taken charge of the planet and how they have treated the native, the original, the mothers and fathers of civilization, how they treat us. I hope you understand this. You got to understand who you're looking at when you're looking at the movie. These are the sort of raiding parties that they had in Africa when they came to enslave us, and our people would be rounded up, men, women, and children. And in particular, actually, they went for the children. They went for the youth. They went for the young. It was young people that were primarily taken out of the continent in order to be enslaved and to be made burden bearers for the building of the white man's world. That little scene there where Charlton Heston runs between that tree stump. Mm-hmm. What's that demonstrating is how his brain is superior to the primitive. They're just running, trying to get away. But he runs in a specific way towards a specific object, knowing that the apes will get their neck caught in it and actually get dragged off their horses. So already you can see a superior mind working. He's not just running away, he's also thinking about how he can actually do injury or strike back or fight back against those who are pursuing him. Another one of his colleagues that's running away as well, one of those who arrived on the ship. Captured. Black colleague. There's a joke we often say as black people say, black man dead in the first reel. No sooner does the film start that the black man's getting killed. That's right. But this is important, their family. Okay, so that shows you, that kind of sets up how this planet is run, what's operating, because again, you hear Planet of the Apes, straight away we start thinking of a different planet. But understand this, when we're talking about a planet, just the same way in which they call some certain people illegal aliens, it's not that we are talking about another planet somewhere off in the universe, but when you again see the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and you hear the wicked names that he is called in the newspapers, on the television, and so on and so forth, it's clear that he and those who are assaulting him with this slander live on completely different planets. This is not a people who are separated by, a body of water or a few hundred miles. This is planetary in terms of, alien species who cannot, dear family, I've got to emphasize this, we cannot get along together. How did the Honorable Elijah Muhammad say? He said that they are disagreeable to live with. Imagine, I just want you to think about that. Imagine somebody who is disagreeable to live with. So you cannot reach agreement with them. Doesn't matter what the deal is that you strike, they're going to renege on it, they're going to break it. There's going to be a problem between these two sets of people, different planets, dear family. In this original version of the Planet of the Apes are the only ones who can talk in this movie. The apes are the only ones who can talk. Yeah, a role reversal of humans and animals. The mute humans are locked in what could be described as a madhouse or an upside down world where en masse, we humans are stuck behind bars, put on leashes or kept in chains and used and abused for profit and experimentation, while the rulers live large and in denial of our oppression and long-term suffering. This reality should not be lost on any of us who are familiar with our history and the contemporary relevance to our social, political, and economic condition, especially when measured against the privileged social, political, and economic lives of the elite rulers among white people. I'm trying to show you the juxtaposition between us and them. And this is what the movie Planet of the Apes is showing. You see, you can't get much more distance between man and beast. Okay, the human being, even though if you listen to a lot of white people, they'll tell you that, well, the human being is just another animal, because that's how they see it. But we're far above animals, dear family.
Well, we should be.
Well, we're supposed to be, you see, but many of us have fallen down. Remember what I said earlier about fallen man? And so now some of us crawl around on our all fours like beasts. You see, let me give you an example. When we're sneaking in to some woman's bedroom window when her husband is out, that's the act of a nocturnal beast. That's not, a man don't behave like that. A man walks through the front door. See, he don't sneak about and crawl about in the night to go and rape somebody or to go and rob somebody. But when you see us as men, as human beings doing such, that's because we've fallen from a very high place, a very high level, and we're now behaving like beasts. So we're not praying for people, we're preying on people like a beast. See, this is the juxtaposition that we need to understand between what is called animal and human. And unfortunately, dear family, again, you see, when we are associating with a beast-like man, then we become like that which governs us. And that's why we have to separate and come out of her, my people, and be not partakers of her sins and her plagues, because her sins have reached all the way onto heaven. Her behavior is such that it's diabolical, it's low down, it's bestial. And, you know, I hope I don't have to waste too much time telling you where to look for the bestial behavior today, but you can put on your TV and see it, okay? In particular places today where human beings are being slaughtered. Men, women, and children. And you got people in suits and ties and calling themselves politicians, whatever, who are feeding the slaughter, whilst at the same time pretending to be civilized. But the behavior is bestial. Understand this. See, you know, we live in a world, dear family, where you put the TV on and these movies. I had the misfortune of having a look at, is it Beverly Hills Cop 2? Man, I was so disappointed. I mean, I knew what to expect, to be honest with you. One, the language. It's just, you know, Eddie Murphy, beautiful brother, I love him. But in reality, dear family, we're just feeding swine. That's all we do now. Just this language, just this, and Hollywood action, shoot 'em up and all. It's just nonsense. It's just nonsense. And then a little sister playing his daughter. I don't know if maybe doing some spoilers here because maybe you haven't seen it. Maybe I'm spoiling it for you, but the little beautiful black sister playing his daughter, and they've got her in love with a Caucasian. And, you know, he seems like he really couldn't give a damn one way or the other, but she seems to be the one who's got like a flame burning for him. And it's so pathetic. But again, even in that, they're really pushing the black woman toward that goal, toward that end, which is to hook up with one of these Caucasian men. See, because this is how they see themselves staying around in the future, because they're in trouble when it comes to their lack of melanin and the fact that they are a dying breed, a dying people. And the only way that they can stay around is to get with a black woman and impregnate her and put their seed in her. And the chances are when the baby arrives, because it's a white man and a black woman, women tend to generally follow the lead of the man. And so the baby will be orientated towards continuing his legacy. Understand what's going on, sisters. Understand what's going on in this world. It's things that we think are just really not that important. They're so critically important to what's taking place in 2024. Now, brothers and sisters, Taylor, again, the character played by Charlton Heston, is examined by chimpanzee psychologist Dr. Zira, and Dr. Cornelius. Zira is the female chimp, and Dr. Cornelius is the male chimp. And I put here in brackets white liberals. White liberals. You know, they like Taylor. They like this animal because that's how the humans are seen in Planet of the Apes. And they're thinking he might be a missing link between humans and their evolved superiors, who are the apes. And when they say the apes, they're talking about chimpanzees, but they're also mostly talking about the gorillas and the orangutans, who are the great apes. And these are like the upper class, the elites within ape society. And so learning of Taylor's intelligence, orangutan Dr. Zeus, he wants Taylor put to death and to know where he came from. See, because the elites, one of the reasons why they spend so much time calling the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan names and attacking him is because they want him dead. You see, because they can't work out where did he come from, because he's not what they have made. What they have made is niggers and Negroes and fallen men. But Farrakhan is made by God. Farrakhan is made by Elijah Muhammad, who himself is made by God. And so when they can't figure out where this one comes from. They're classified as a dangerous eloper. They're classified as a phenomena that must be gotten rid of. And so go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, as the minister said earlier, you can't buy him. There's nothing that this white man can offer.
Think about that.
Yes.
Think about a black man who you can't bribe, you can't offer him nothing.
That's right.
See, because our people, some of our people will tell you, oh yeah, everybody's got a price. Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad that somebody can offer you some material thing for you to sell out your own people and righteous principles? This is one of our great weaknesses today as a people. And this is a weakness that has to be overcome if we are ever to be free. Did you hear what the minister said? He said, freedom or death. Some of us, oh man, well, that's too extreme. Let me tell you something. Even Martin Luther King said it. He said, if you haven't got nothing worth dying for, you ain't got nothing worth living for. Do you understand that when we develop that kind of mentality, that kind of stance, that the enemy realizes, oh my God, we can't deal with this kind of man. We can't deal with this kind of woman. We can't deal with this kind of people. They can't deal with the minister. Some foolish black people, oh, Farrakhan must have sold out. That's why he's still alive. You're sick. You are sick. A black woman, again, one time said, because the minister looked so good, looked so young, oh, that man must have sold his soul to the devil. See, we're twisted. You see a black man looking good, up in age, but looking young and healthy and fit. And we attribute that to the devil rather than attributing that to God. If we're all sick and all decrepit, then we think, oh, you know, then we start saying to God, why did you do that to me? No, you did it to yourself. The minister's following guidance from God. How to eat to live. That's why he looks the way he does.
And he submitted his will to do
the will of God. After they murdered Malcolm, the enemy, by the way, murdered Malcolm. In the autopsy, the doctor said he had never seen a man with cleaner insights. Why? Because for the 12 years that Malcolm was in the nation, he was following the doctrine of how to eat to live. 1 meal a day, 3-day fast every month, cleansing the body, discipline, not just putting any old madness into your system. This is a highly specialized machine. There is no computer, there is no car, there is no helicopter, there's nothing more sophisticated than this human body. And you can't just chuck anything in it and expect it to continue to work at an optimum level, man. I hope you're following their family. So this orangutan, Dr. Zeus, wants Taylor put to death and to know where he came from. Taylor escapes from the laboratory to the forbidden zone. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, I could speak on the forbidden zone for an hour, but I'm not going to do that. But just suffice to say, the forbidden zone is not just a place that is forbidden for people to go to, but understand that the forbidden zone is some of the stuff that we're talking about tonight. Some of you have been with us on the Imagination show for some time. You remember the amount of times that we've had our shows taken off by YouTube. Why? Because we went to the forbidden zone. There are certain things that are forbidden.
That's right.
We're not allowed as Black people to go into certain thought modes. Okay, we're committing thought crime. We're not allowed to speak in a particular way, or at least, some of us think that they can stop us from thinking and speaking and acting and moving and doing. They can't, but we allow them to. And so it becomes a forbidden zone. And oftentimes we end up forbidding ourselves. We start to tell ourselves, and I've heard it so many times doing this work, Black people can never unite. So unity is a forbidden zone. Think about it. Think of the way we think. We don't trust Black people. We don't. So if we have to give a Black man or a Black woman some money, we want to know what you're going to do with it. You don't ask Nike that. When you go to buy those sneakers or those training shoes, as we say in the UK, for over £100, £200, £300. I've seen trainers ridiculous.
Oh, their tracks.
And we might have shelves with trainers. Some of our we never question Nike. Oh, what are you doing with the money? What are you gonna do? We don't question these other companies. But as soon as we have to give a little bit of money to a Black person, what are you gonna do with it? Forbidden zone. It's forbidden. See, so I just want you to understand what the forbidden zone represents, because the forbidden zone is listening to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, feeding on that teaching and making it a part of you. The Nation of Islam, forbidden zone. Don't go there. Stay away from them Muslims. Stay away from those Muslims. Stay away from those radicals, those troublemakers. Forbidden zone. Understand this, dear family. I hope you are following me. And so he escapes to the forbidden zone with Cornelius and the Dr. Zia, and eventually ends up in discovering that the planet of the apes is in fact his own planet Earth. See, dear family, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan did a lecture on one occasion, and at the end of it, he had a questions and answer. And during that talk, he talked about the 76 or 78 quintillion miles of the circumference of the universe. And an opportunity arose for somebody to ask a question. And I think the question was along the lines of, what's outside or beyond the 78 quintillion miles of the universe? And I said, my God. So here's a man talking about 76 or 78 quintillion miles of the universe. We don't know what's around the corner from our house. We don't know what's at the bottom of the ocean. We don't know what's in that jungle over there. But we can't confine ourselves to 76 or 78 quintillion miles. We want to know what's beyond it. You see how foolish we are? We got to take one step at a time in terms of knowledge. I've been a martial arts teacher. I've taught people, basic martial arts, a front snap kick, a side kick, some punches, some blocks, basic stuff. But what I see and what I've noticed historically when doing things of that nature is how quickly somebody wants to start leaping and doing a scissor kick before they've even learned the basics. You're going to get yourself into trouble. I think in the Holy Quran, it says, why do you ask questions that if you knew the answer, it will get you to trouble? Words to that effect.
Harm you, is it harm you?
Yeah,
yes.
Bring you harm, basically. One step at a time. Don't skip gradients. You see, if you're gonna make progress in life, dear family, you know, this abracadabra mentality, this Shazam, you know, magical thing where we think things are just gonna happen like that. It don't work like that. Everything is a process. Everything is a process, dear family. I hope you are following us this evening as we break down the Planet of the Apes. Now, without delving into the Bible story of Balak, the angel of the Lord standing in the road with a drawn sword, and the Moabites, let's just look at the book of Numbers, chapter 22, verse 28, where it says, "Then the Lord opened the donkey's mouth, and it said to Balaam, 'What have I done to you to make you beat me these 3 times?'" And by the way, dear family, you know, that three is the number that represents trial. Okay, whenever you see the number 3, it represents trial. But it's also really talking about us as a people. If you remember, there were 3 astronauts at the beginning of this, but there were 4, 1 died. And the 3 also corresponds to the 300 plus years. It was 400 years, but you see 1 died, but it corresponds to the 300 years of our enslavement. It took them about 64 years to actually make us into slaves. All right? Because they didn't find slaves in Africa, by the way. They found free men and women. They had to make, there was a slave maker who had to, if you remember the story of Kunta Kinte, see, he wasn't no slave. He was trying to escape. He was trying to run away. He was trying to cultivate and maintain his language. He was praying to Allah on the ship and later on in America. And it was the old slave who was already there, whose job it was to convert him into becoming a slave, and as also the overseers with the whip and the slave master. Understand this, dear family. The reason why we're quoting this scripture is because it's important to understand what it means in the scripture when it says that God opened, or the Lord opened the donkey's mouth. See, because it's not talking about a donkey, but it's talking about a people who have been made into jackasses, a people who have been made into donkeys. In other words, beasts of burden, just to carry another man's weight, just to be the ones who lug all of the heavy lifting in building the world for another people while having nothing for ourselves. And finally, the donkey is made to speak. Very, very important when you watch this particular scene. By the way, I hope you saw when he was running through the museum. See, they got us in the museums. I remember, I think it's the British Museum I went to one time, man, and I was so upset, you know, because they got so-called mummies. Black people, these are black people, so-called Egyptians that they've got mummified on display. Have you ever seen a museum where they got a white man mummified?
No.
Have you ever seen a dead white man in a museum that you can go and look at? Stop it. But we accept these things. And then his friend was there, lobotomized, and now made into a mannequin standing there with his eyes all glazed, basically dead. But this is what they do to Black people. And we will go to these museums and these places and look at these bones and these skulls, and these belong to our people. Do you know that the Native Americans are so upset that these people will go and desecrate their burial sites because they found oil or something else on the land and they want to dig it up? And these people will fight them, man, because they respect their dead. But when you see people who will put another people on display, their dead bodies on display, we think, oh, well, yes, because it's old. No, it don't matter how old it is. You will never see them do that to their own. It's called desecration. It's called disrespect. You see? But again, they've made us so dead that we think it's acceptable to see Black people treated in that way. This is, by the way, this scene that you're looking at, this is the experience of Black people in this world, you know, running through a hostile environment, trying to get out, trying to get away. And everywhere you turn, there's hostility. The police, the Karens, the landlords, the school teachers, you name it, everywhere we turn, this is the reality that we face as a people. But again, notice, you see Taylor, he's the only one who's fighting back out of the primitive looking people who represent Black people, because see, without leadership, without somebody who has the courage to be able to stand up, even though they put their life at risk. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been risking his life for nearly 70 years on behalf of a people who mostly don't even know. Don't even know what the man has been doing, because we don't take any notice, because we're dead. Okay, we're deaf, dumb, and blind. We've been made that way. But we've got some courageous ones who will put themselves up front and out front in order to challenge Satan and in order to escape from the grip and from this spider's web that he has created to entrap and ensnare everybody in it. I know you don't, again, I know you don't appreciate it. The minister mentioned it when he was speaking earlier, but the stuff that the press put on the minister, you see, but understand, dear family, you see how good that man looks? That's right. You see how that man is still able to smile, and he's still able to face the enemy and teach his people, regardless of what they heap on him and the filth and the disgusting things that they say about this man. And I've seen some of you online as well, repeating the filth. But it doesn't matter to a man of God. It doesn't matter to a righteous person. You see, it's what the enemy might call water off a duck's back, because the mission is greater. See, and those of us who desire to follow in his footsteps, that's the kind of spirit, that's the kind of mentality, that's the kind of attitude, that's the kind of stance that we got to have, man. Regardless of what the enemy does, we keep going. We keep moving. Comes the white liberal.
Security police.
I'm in charge of this man.
No longer, madam. He is now in the custody of the Ministry of Science.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
You see the shock? The shock? Because that's the first time that he has spoken because of that damage to the vocal cords. So you see, at a certain point, God allows the donkey to speak. At a certain point, he speaks now with a man's voice, and he's captured by the enemy. But do you hear him pleading? No, please, let me go. No, he says, get your stinking dirty paws off me, you dirty ape, or whatever the statement was. You see, he's fighting back. He's identifying them now as the enemy. See, you know, some of us get so upset and you hear the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the white man is the devil. He is Satan. He's the enemy. Some of us, we just can't take that. But do you understand that it's important to be able to let your enemy know, just like Jesus told those Jews that he was having the argument with? I know you. This is Jesus talking now. In your book, I know you. You are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. He was a liar and a murderer from the beginning. Go and read it for yourself. This is Jesus talking to these people who are his enemies. But the way we represent Jesus now is like some little milquetoast crazy person, man. Love everybody. You never hear Jesus talking about he love everybody. He was very clear, dear family. And so, you know, I hope you are with this. We are going through this breakdown, understanding the reality of this movie. Or you can go and you can look at 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 16, where it says, but he was rebuked for his wrongdoing by a donkey, an animal without speech, who spoke with a human voice and restrained the prophet's madness. By the way, there's no such thing as a prophet who's mad or a prophet suffering from madness. You just have to learn to understand the book. But what's important here is that, once again, a donkey is rebuking somebody for wrongdoing, for misbehavior. And a donkey is speaking with the voice of a man. Have you ever heard how Samson slew the Philistines with a donkey's jawbone? Ooh. See, Samson, again, is a strong man. That's one of our people, by the way. But he slew or he destroyed an enemy with a donkey's jawbone. In other words, with the words that issued from one who is classified as a donkey or an ass, without the ability to speak or without intelligence. But all of a sudden, this donkey develops all of this or these characteristics. This is what the scripture is talking about. It's not talking about a donkey. It's talking about human beings who have been reduced to the level where you could literally refer to them as a beast of burden. But then at some point, that beast of burden switches, changes, something happens, and that one is awakened, and that one begins to speak with the voice of a man. A man, not a coward, not a boy. Remember how they used to call us boy? Even when we was 80 years old, we'd be boy. No, at a certain point, we have to become a man. Dear family, let's have a look at this.
He was a weak, fragile animal. But he was here before you. And he was better than you are. That's lunacy. I can offer alternate descriptions of every...
I want you to really listen carefully, family, Because this is, remember when the minister said that this is a theological argument in the lecture that he was given? You remember? You understand that we have now learned our history. We now know that they didn't find us in Africa with a bow in our nose swinging through the trees, but we now know that we are the mothers and fathers of civilization. We now know that we are the people who built the pyramids. We now know that we have circumnavigated the entire universe millions of years ago, that we were flying, that we know all of these things. We now know that we produced the white man from our own loins 6,000 years ago. We now know his origin. We now know his ending. We now know that we are Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending. We now know these things. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, by teaching such things, he's having an argument with the scientists of this world, with the religious leaders of this world, with their monks and their doctors of law of this world, with the elites of this world. And Dr. Zeus, or whatever his name is, the orangutan that he's talking to, he knows this. And now he's confronted with this man showing him and telling him, we were here before you. We did things greater than you. And this orangutan now is in trouble because he's faced with the reality, but he's still in denial, which is the same condition that this world is in right now. They don't want to admit that before them were higher civilizations, and that these civilizations were built by the black man. Check out the scene, dear family. Listen very carefully.
He was a weak, fragile animal, but he was here before you, and he was better than you are. Such lunacy. I can offer alternate descriptions of every one of those articles, which is just as ingenious as yours. But it'd be conjecture, not proof. Dr. Zayas, would an ape make a human doll that talks?
See, family? And this is what Cornelius, by the way, the chimp, with the other doctor, the other chimpanzee doctor, the female one, he's a archaeologist, and they dig. See? And if you understand, in the world of the Caucasian, they're constantly digging. And when they're digging, they're finding all of these artifacts and all of these things from the past, which they can't explain. This is what this scene represents, that, see, the Caucasian, he's found so many things that confound him, that he cannot explain, and he knows the reality. That's why he's got to try and keep Black people ignorant, keep us in sport and play, keep us drugged up. Oh man, some of you are so excited because the white man has now made marijuana legal. And we think, oh man, we've arrived. Now we can smoke ourselves to death. My God, what a trick. What a trick, dear family. You want to put that stuff down. Keep your lungs clean, man. Keep your head clear. Dear family, this scene is such a powerful scene because it represents something which has happened and is happening every day, because they're constantly finding, digging and finding new reality. Did you hear the question? He said, would an ape make a human doll that talks? Because the whole premise of the ape world that we're looking at here in the planet of the apes is that human beings are dumb animals. They can't speak. The whole premise of this world is that the black man never contributed nothing to history. The black man, you know, we did him a favor when we went and took him out of Africa, you know, and brought him into civilization. This is the narrative, you see? But this proves different. See, when you discover the Dogons and the fact that they had mapped the stars of the universe before the white man was even in the caves and hillsides of Europe. Understand, dear family, this is what Planet of the Apes is really talking about. I hope you get it. As I said, I'm not going to try and exhaust it and go too much deeper. You know, I just wanted us to really think this evening and appreciate that these movies, they carry so much more than what just meets the eye. No one should be surprised that the mascot and symbols for the Democratic and Republican political parties are the elephant for the Republicans and the donkey for the Democrats. Both creatures represent the people whose enslavement, forced labor, and centuries-long sacrifice of blood, sweat, and tears that caused the British Empire, the United States, and the so-called Western democracies to be established with wealth and power in domination over the whole planet. Imagine the Republicans and the Democrats, they represent themselves with an elephant and a donkey. And by the way, it's the African elephant. And that donkey is what they made us into. And it's a game that they play where whether you go to the elephant or you go to the donkey, it's the same thing. That's why they're both colored the same with the stars and stripes, this star-spangled banner. We're being played, dear family. And they know that they've got the masses of the people, especially black people, so ignorant that we keep running back to the Democrats, or in this country, in the UK, it's the Labour Party, you see, because they're supposed to represent the laborers. They're supposed to represent the workers. But Keir Starmer has made it abundantly clear, he ain't with no workers. He is caught in big business. He's caught in money. And it's a game that they play. I guarantee you, if they even last that long, the next thing you're going to hear is, oh, they've had enough of Labour and they're going to start promoting Conservative again, or whichever other party that they want to play the people with. I hope you get it, dear family, and understand that it's not an accident that in the scripture is talking about a donkey, really referring to a people who have been made into jackasses. You understand? And it's not an accident that all through the scriptures you hear about sheep and goats, you see, but it's not talking about those creatures. It's talking about human beings with those characteristics. You hear about dragons, you hear about snakes, human beings with those characteristics. I hope you get it, dear family. So I hope everybody is good. Sister Gabrielle Muhammad says, our agreement with hell will be annulled. That's right. That's right. See, understand that, you know, we've made an agreement with hell. It's not going to stand. It's not going to stand. Here we have an image of a black Jesus riding a black donkey into the holy city of Jerusalem. But the true meaning, according to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, needs to be understood in the context of the popular support of a people who were made deaf, dumb, and blind by the enemy of God. Understand what this means, dear family. You see, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is upheld first by God and second by the masses of our people. We are the ones who support the minister. We are that donkey on which he rides. And he's not just riding us for us to remain donkeys, He's riding us that we might begin to speak with the voice of a man, that we will hear him, see him, look at him, follow him, emulate him, so that now, dear family, this man has done his work, he's done his job among a people who hunger, who thirst for freedom, justice, and equality. That's what the scripture is talking about when you hear about Jesus riding into Jerusalem on an ass. But it's not a man on a physical donkey. It's talking about the relationship between a man of God and the masses of God's people. A people who don't realize that they belong to God, a people who don't know the relationship with the man of God. But we must become acquainted with this reality if we are to go free, if we are to realize our redemption and our separation from this enemy who has got us believing that we are literally just wild creatures picking from the trees and running and being netted and being, I mean, imagine, man, I was thinking of like the police. See these police now, they're paramilitary. They've got batons,
Yes.
they've got pepper spray, they've got handcuffs, they've got all of these. And you got to ask yourself, are these people dealing with human beings,
right.
or are they
Animals.
dealing with beasts? Are they dealing with animals? Because you only use these things if you're dealing with a wild creature.
Right.
But do you understand what it means to be civilized, family? That no man has to give you direction and put a whip on you or put a stick on you or put, because you got your own self-discipline, your own self-awareness, your own dignity. Look, man, I just hope you get it, brothers and sisters. And so as we come to the close, we are 28 years ago, I was blessed to be one of a delegation of brothers who traveled 3,945 miles from London to Chicago to present the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan with the symbolic gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. What were we saying then, and what, if anything, has changed our view now? Well, I can't speak for all the brothers who were there with me, but I can speak for myself. And if 28 years ago, we recognized this man as a little Jesus, a disciple of the Christ, a man of God in our midst, and we took gold. See, I'm standing there with the, that's me there holding the myrrh. That's the perfume, myrrh, and the gold and the frankincense. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was so happy. And it was such a beautiful day when we gave this gift. And if you know anything about the story and how, you know, these are supposed to be wise men. I don't say that we were wise, but we were a group of men who recognized something in this brother. And we gave him this wonderful gift 28 years ago, dear family. And I'm saying that, man, if you think that I had a particular belief system 28 years ago, 28 years later, man, I believe 1,000% more today than what I did then. And so, dear family, this is the reality of what we're looking at when we're looking at that original Planet of the Apes. It's really talking about the role reversal which has taken place with white people and black people, and we've got to switch roles again and go back to where we were in the beginning. in the beginning, we were walking with God. There is a saying that as it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. We're right near the end, dear family. We're in the end times. There isn't too much left of this world. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that it's unraveling, and it's unraveling as we speak. And my appeal to you is to understand who this man is and why he is backed by the two that you can see in the images behind him, Master Farag Muhammad and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and how he represents them to us and how we must begin to represent ourselves to each other. I pray, dear beloved family, that you understood what we attempted to share with you this evening. And, you know, that's our very simple breakdown of that movie franchise called Planet of the Apes. We really hope that you enjoyed it, and we hope that you got something out of it. And I just wanted to briefly go through some of the things that people have shared with us, and then we're going to close out for the evening. Sister Claudia, are you happy with that?
Praise be to God.
How did you find
Well,
that?
it just shows that whatever Satan gives to us, there's always a message behind it.
Praise
It's
be
never
to God.
just as it seems, as it looks. You
Yes.
always have to look a lot deeper into what are they actually trying to hide,
Yes,
and what can we see.
yes.
So praise be to Allah. Thank you very much for that.
Praise be
I'll
to
have to
Allah.
watch it again. I haven't watched it for years. I don't even remember the beginning.
Really?
No, I don't remember that.
In the beginning, they're on a spaceship
Okay.
traveling through space. That's
Right.
deep, because
Yes.
it's
Talking
us.
about this.
It's us, because that's where we were.
Right.
And so Ronald Thompson says from Birmingham, England, to Brother Leo, love both of your outfits. Can you do a breakdown of the origins of hip hop, and did Hispanics help create it? Yeah, that sounds like an awesome subject.
Right.
Praise be to Allah. And have you got anything there, sister? Sister Marva, I did see Sister Marva Muhammad said, sister, you look beautiful in yellow. Yes, I must. Well, it's green, you know.
Lime green.
It's lime green.
Yes.
Sister is looking absolutely beautiful. I must say so myself. Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
And Sister Marva says, yeah, assalamu alaikum, beloved brother and sister. You both look beautiful. Just reflections of yourself, Sister Marva. Praise be to Allah. And
Is it rockers?
Ishmael Cisse says, assalamu alaikum, brother Leo, sister Claudia Mohammed. Peace from Sweden. Wonderful.
And
Wonderful.
Rocker says, perhaps it's high time so-called Black people start doing for self, hence no more forbidden zones. And also, why so much talk about people you hate to love? Why not talk about Kenyans fighting to get rid of their puppets, sellouts, and traitors?
Yes, praise be to Allah. Ronald Thompson says we need 1,000 likes. Come on. Yeah, I agree,
Absolutely.
brother Ronald. Well, I think I can see about 37 likes so far. Come on, family. Give us that thumbs up, man, because it helps the algorithms, as they say, helps us to be more visual on YouTube. So assalamu alaikum from Compton, California. All praise be to Allah, the God most merciful, most gracious. Brother Dave.
Praise be to Allah.
Keisha Williams, blessings to you and your family and your wife. Thank you.
And greetings, assalamu alaikum, to Sister Gabriel Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum to
Wa
you.
alaikum salam. Okay, praise be to Allah. I mean, there's a lot more, dear family.
We thank you for your comments.
And we do thank you for all the
for
comments.
taking the time.
And
to type it out.
they mean a
Thank you.
great deal to us.
That's right.
They do mean a great deal to us. Thank you. Dear beloved family, it's been a pleasure. And like I said, I hope that you got something and you can start doing your own breakdowns of movies, because you just have to look that little bit deeper.
Absolutely.
Look at what's really being said,
That's
or
right.
sometimes what's not being said.
right.
You'd be surprised.
That's right.
Thank you, may Allah bless you as I greet you, as I found you in the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. And don't forget, family, tune in to the Final Call Radio 24/7 and subscribe to the Final Call newspaper to get the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And don't forget, log on to NOI.org. There's so many videos that we can watch live or rewatch, and to feed ourselves the truth and righteousness, because we are what we eat. So never take that for granted. As Brother Leo Muhammad said, this is the real house of God. It's a gift. It's a gift from Allah, God.
And look after it, man.
Because you do kind of look at people sideways when they don't treat a gift that you give them properly. You think you're so ungrateful. So let's not be ungrateful to Almighty God Allah, and really treat this real house of God with the most highest respect.
That's right.
Feed it spiritually, mentally, physically on right guidance and the right food.
Wonderful.
So may
good
Allah,
teaching. Good teaching, Sister.
Praise be to Allah. May Allah, God bless and guide and protect you all, keep you all safe. Thank you once again for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you, God willing, if Allah spares our life, next week, Thursday. Have a blessed evening, morning, or afternoon, wherever you are on the planet Earth. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, and assalamu alaikum.